Well, welcome back to Lucore Motor Services. Today I'm working on the big white 3/4 ton Chevrolet truck. Go ahead and put a new flywheel on it because the holes are wallowed out on the converter Flexplate. I have to fix the holes in the converter itself. Air main is leaking. Oil pan gasket literally fell off once I got it. Got the last bolt out. It just fell off. There was no sticky left in that gasket. You can see the back of the oil pan where the bolts were hitting. Looks to be superficial, so we're gonna reseal this 300,000 mile engine and get it back in service for this fella. Take it. Yeah, it looks pretty good in there. Take that. And we'll put a new O-ring on our pickup tube. My battery's about to die. Oh, this is gonna dump coolant everywhere. That's alright. Get all my hardware ready. With the cleaner, I warmed up my parts cleaner earlier today. Do have new manifolds ordered for this. Let's drop this down so I don't end up wearing it. Coming right at me. It's as hard as a rock. Engine looks pretty good, actually.
Critical time to check your home's window. See if they're cracked or leaking, or open or stay open, you get a draft coming through.
I was wrong. There isn't a coolant passage back there. I was thinking of the 3800s. I used to do those all the time. Same problem. The gaskets are just burnt to a cinder. They make special tools to install these. If you don't have those tools, you can just leave the old seal on and then pop the seal out once you have the cover reinstalled, but I have the alignment tools, so I don't do that. Oh, I can get my parts nice and clean. That one came off completely clean. Got some gasket that's crispy up there. We'll knock that off with a chisel. Crispy like bacon. I'll go ahead and hang my rear cover and drop this thing down and pull my front cover off. So, front belt, pulley, fan, water pump. These seals are supposed to be installed dry, and you're supposed to leave them undisturbed and not start the car for 4 hours after they've been installed so that the seal can form the way it needs to form after being installed. We'll actually have an alignment tool. Let me grab it. We'll get this rear cover put back up in here. Oh boy. Alright, so we need our alignment tool. It should not be that tight. It should slide evenly. Turn my gun down to its minimum setting. And our bolts are torqued 22 foot-pounds, which isn't a lot, but at least now we have a gasket that's not a crispy critter. And that is exactly why we're doing all the gaskets on this, because they're all old and aged and heat cycled. Double check, make sure we torqued them all, make sure we didn't miss one. And we are good. Let's put in our rear main seal. These are these new style Teflon seals. They work really well. They hold up way longer than the old rubber ones did. But they are supposed to be installed dry compared to the old seals. It looks like it appears that you install it backwards, but you're not. So the rubber lip goes on the outside because it's the dust shield. And the seal slides over the back housing. I'm going to drive that till it's flush. That plate is done. Let's pull the front apart so we can get the front one done, and then we'll put our oil pan back on. Oh, I need my light. Don't want to forget that under there. Alright, so I'm trying to wrap this guy up. I've already got my back cover done and my rear main seal installed. I have kicked the bucket and just got coolant all over my toes. Put the front cover back on. I used my piece to align my lower case to the block, and I have a sizer for the crank that I use to get that guy all aligned. If it's crooked, your oil pan won't seal correctly. So it looks like I need to clean off my oil pan surfaces. I'll put a dab of RTV there, 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 and there. And then when I tighten down my bolts, I'm going to start in the middle and work my way forward and back. I actually watched a youngling that used to work here. He put it all together and he went right to this bolt right here and he broke the oil pan, because you don't start at the end. You definitely don't start on that end. You always start to tighten your oil pan down from the middle. Intake manifold's the same thing. Start in the middle, work your way out. There's a reason for those procedures. And as I watched him tighten, I couldn't say it fast enough because his gun went to it and he zipped it and it just went crack. And I'm like, really, dude? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's actually directions on how to do this. And you chose not to ask, you just chose to do. And then I bought an oil pan. So it is what it is. And so let's get it cleaned up, put our oil pan back on. When I do my oil pans on these, I always replace the oil pressure relief valve, because I have better results with that. The oil pan gasket has the seal built in for this, for the oil filter, oil cooler lines, and that seal can go bad in that area and it can cause low oil pressure problems. This can cause low oil pressure problems. And the oil sump pickup O-ring can also cause some oil pressure problems. So we replace all those whenever we do an oil pan on one of these. Alright, so I'm making headway. See, I've got my small hole lined up to be my first torque converter bolt in. I got new bolts with Loctite installed. You can see on the old unit this. This was probably the small hole. It's been beaten out. I had to rethread the boss on the torque converter. The other two cleaned up okay. But that one was all beat up because of the small hole for alignment. What that allows you to do is you can tighten that bolt all the way up and the other two bolts will have clearance. Little trick I didn't learn for a long time when I was a young mechanic. They've got one hole that's smaller than the rest.
I'll take it from here. More or less, we're done. Front cover's back together. All the pulleys and everything are back on it. As you see, she's buttoned back up. Oil pan obviously back on. Transmission's back installed. Exhaust manifolds are on. There you go. You can get it, see it somewhere. There you go. Exhaust manifolds are on. We're back in business. New hardware. Factory exhaust is good. Everything else is ready to rock and roll. So at this point in time, the reseal is done. Our torque converter bang 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 issue is gone. Everything else is pretty well squared away up here in the front. However, there's also a lift kit that's got to go on this truck before it gets shipped out of here. So next thing we got to do is just finish off the last little bits here, get this thing torn back apart as far as suspension wise goes. I think we're doing like a 6-inch lift on this thing, I believe. It's got to be a pretty big lift. And then get it over on the alignment rack. But that will be another tale for the next day. Thanks for being here. 2500 Chevy HD. This guy works with he works for a living. He actually uses this truck quite a bit, and 300,000 plus miles on it. Very, very nice truck. Clearly a Southern truck, or it'd be rotted in half if it was Ohio. Anyway, that's where we're gonna wrap this one up. We'll see you when this thing goes back on under surgery for some suspension stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.